Let's become the explorers we always wanted to be. Let's create our own custom biome. Alright, we found ourselves back in IntelliJ once more. And in this tutorial, we're going to create our own custom biome. And this is actually a fairly straightforward process. Actually, the making of the biome is where you really need to drill down. And overall, I know I usually say this, but this is actually not that difficult of a process. But let's just start. So in the world package, we're going to create a new package called Biome. And this will include two new Java classes. One of them is going to be the ModBiomes class. And the other one will immediately create as well, and this is going to be the mod configured surface builders. So that's a very long name, and this is also the first one we're actually going to deal with. So what is a configured surface builder? The idea is that for your biome, you can of course also use the standard surface builders. We're actually going to make a new surface builder because usually in a custom biome, you actually want a different surface. So let's first of all start. Let's start by making a private method. This is going to be a private static. And that this is going to be a sc extends I surface builder config, and this is going to return a configured surface builder sc, and this is the register method. This is going to take in a string parameter called name, and then a configured surface builder with sc called csb, because otherwise the name of this method is already so long that you can basically not even see anything. And this is going to return world-gen registries.register, and then we're going to say world-gen registries.configured surface builder. There you go. And then a new resource location with our mod ID, so tutorial mod ID, and then the name given the parameter. And then afterwards, we're simply going to pass in CSB. So this is the configured surface builder that we're creating above it. So this is a simple register method, which simply is going to be make it a little bit easier to read what is happening in our configured surface builders. And then let's add the surface builder. This is going to be the public static configured surface builder. So this guy right here of type question mark. And we're going to call this the rift surface. So the biome that we're going to add is going to be the rift biome. And this is equal to register rift underscore surface. And the second parameter is going to be surface builder dot default. We're going to take the default surface builder and then add 3 different blocks to it, so a different surface builder config. As you can see, there are also quite a few other things in here, so mountain, for example, nether forest, and a bunch of other stuff. So default is just going to be default, that's going to be fine. If you want something more particular and something else, you need to play around with it a little bit, because once again, the world generation is number 1, fairly complicated, and number 2, not that well documented. So you will just have to play around with a few things there, but no worries. What we're going to do is we're going to make a new surface builder config in here, and that is actually going to be split up in 3 different blocks. So we're going to add the semicolon at the end, and then we're going to say blocks dot, let's just say, let's go crazy, redstone block dot get a default state, and then we want blocks dot, let's say, magma block, let's say, down here, get default state, and then at the end we're going to say red concrete. Why not? So we're going to make this completely crazy, red concrete dot get default state. And as you can see, it all works. So what is happening here, if I middle mouse button click on the surface builder config, you can see that it needs 3 block states. And the first one is the top material. This would usually be grass. And then the under material is, of course, would be dirt in the enormous surface builder config. And then there's an underwater material, which basically shows up underwater. And that is actually all we need for the surface builder. If you want particular, different surface builders, then of course you need to add multiple ones. Each biome takes 1 surface builder, and in this case, this is the surface builder we're going to take. Like I said, you can also go into the surface builder class and just take a look at some of the default things that are in here. I always recommend just going into the default classes, the vanilla classes, and taking a look at those. That's basically the easiest way to actually take a look at how things work. But for the time being, this class has been done. So now we can go to the ModBiomes class, which is going to have a public static final, a deferred register of type biome. Is of course going to be called biomes. And then let's import the biome class by pressing Alt and Enter. And this is equal to a deferred register.create or registries.biomes, and then our tutorial mod.mod ID. And like always, where there is a deferred register, there is a public static void register method with an I event bus called event bus, which of course then does biomes.register with the event bus. And let's not forget to add that to our tutorial mod constructor down here, right below the mod entity types, mod biomes.register event bus. There you go. Right, what we will actually need here is we're going to need a make rift biome method. So I'm going to type out how this looks, and then we're going to copy some stuff over, and I'm also going to show you some things. So this is make rift biome. This will take in a final supplier of type configured surface builder of a question mark, which is going to be the surface builder, and then a float depth and a float scale. So this is the entirety of this method here. Right, where can we find the basic vanilla, well, examples of this? Well, let's press shift twice, and then let's search for the biome maker. So this is the class that we're going to take a look at. And this one, as you can see, has different methods for making some, generic biomes, basically. We could just take the contents of some of those. So as you can see, there's some river biome, generic beach biome, and so on and so forth. So you can first of all take the contents of those and, then just model them a bit differently. We of course have our own contents already. All of that is available in the description below, either in the GitHub or in individual gists. So I'm simply going to copy this over, and then I'm going to explain what this all does. The first thing we also need is the private static method at the very bottom. This is the get sky color with temperature modifier. This is simply a method that I've basically just taken from the biome maker. There's just a method from the biome maker that I've taken. This simply calculates basically the color of the sky with temperature modifier. Not anything that's too complicated. So now let's see, what does the make rift biome thing have? Well, in our case, first of all, we have a mob info builder. This basically makes it so that different mobs spawn in this particular biome. So in our case, you can see that the blaze will spawn here and the zombified piglin will spawn here as well. And then after we have added those, we are basically a biome generation settings builder, which is then responsible for all of the generation inside of that biome, which means, for example, structures and also some caves. You can see lava lakes, monster rooms, overworld blocks, all sorts of different things are added here. And you can, for example, say default biome features dot, and then you can see some of the stuff that you could, for example, add. You can say, I want, warm flowers to spawn here. I want noise tall grass to spawn here. So there's plenty of stuff you can play around with here. Some of this requires it to be done like this. And then if you have your own features, for example, or you want specific other features to be added, then you can also do it like this. But then you have to take the biome generation settings builder and just call it with feature. So we can take a look at that as well. So this is going to be the with feature. We have to get the stage in there. So this is once again the decoration stage. We've seen this plenty of times when we were adding, the trees and the structures and the ore generation. We can simply have to specify, okay, what is this actually? So for example, let's say lakes, and then we can find some features in the features class, and there are basically all of the features in here as well, which you can then take and spawn there as well. So this is sort of the general gist in here. And then at the end of this, you basically return this whole mess, which is a crazy thing, which is a new biome builder. And this will simply take a whole bunch of stuff that you just need to add in here. You don't have to actually add all of this. This is of course a builder class. So usually you can also take out and, not add some things. But in this example, we've added a whole bunch of stuff, some mood sounds, an ambient sound, a particle effect that is going to be basically always being displayed, but with a very tiny probability. So there's a tiny bit of a, lava particle effect in the entire biome. And yeah, overall, this is basically the main guts of this, of the biome generation. I once again can only tell you, take a look at the biome maker, take a look how the vanilla biomes are being generated, copy over some stuff there, try out a few things. That is really the main thing that you can do. And then now we can actually create our own biome. So this is going to be a public static final registry object of type biome, which is going to be the rift_biome, and this is equal to biomes.register, which is the rift_biome, and this will take in a supplier of the make rift biome method, which is going to take a supplier of the mod configured surface builders.rift surface, and then a depth we're going to take to 0.25f and then 0.05f for this scale. What's very important here is that the depth and the scale have nothing to do with the actual scale of the biome. Those two control the hilliness, so to speak, so the ups and downs of the actual biome as well as the actual height of it. So this is what this controls. Once again, play around with it a little bit. That's the best thing that you can really do. Right, now we have added the biome, however, it does not yet spawn. So we have to add a new class in our gen package, which is going to be the ModBiome generation. And this one is is going to have two methods. I'm actually going to copy those over, of course, all available in the description below in the GitHub repository or in individual gists. And overall, that is actually not too bad. So we have this add biome method, which is basically going to take the actual key that we've just made. So the idea is that this is the biome that we've just made, and that is registered in the biomes here. And then the mod biome generation is basically going to take that out of here and then add that to number one, the biome dictionary, and number two, also add it to the biome manager, which then will basically make this spawn. You can add as many types down here as you want. So if I middle mouse button click on this type, you can see that there's some types in here. This is basically done for also filtering. So that is something that you can do there. But in this generate biomes method, we actually have to add that in our FML common setup. So basically down here, mod biome generation.generate biomes. And that's pretty much it. Now our custom biomes will also generate in the world. One last thing I wanted to mention is that I do not know of any method how to control how often a particular biome spawns and how big it is. That is something that I've yet to encounter. If you know anything about that, then please, of course, contact me, because I would actually genuinely like to know that. At this point, I've just not been able to figure that out by looking through the code. Whatever the case may be, let's see if it works. Right, let's not forget to create a new world for this, because of course we've created a new biome. So there we need to create a new world to see it actually spawn. All right, we find ourselves in Minecraft, and let's use the locate biome command to actually find this. So tutorial mod rift biome, it is in there and it actually has been found. So let's click on there and let's actually go there and let's see, there it is. So that actually looks really freaking cool. And you can see if I go in here, then the color changes to red. You can also see that there's a bunch of stuff here. So let's actually go in there. You can see that there's the particles, basically the lava particles that are spawning in, and of course the surface builder that we've made. The top block was redstone ore, and then you can see the bottom one is the magma blocks right there. And then stuff also still spawns in here. So there's some lakes in here as well, as you can see. And then let's see if we can find some lava lake maybe as well. Yeah, there's a lava lake as well. Yeah, and once again, the size of the biome really is not that easy to control. And you can also see that there's some bleeding basically in. So if I take the grass block and I put it down, you can see that it's basically completely red. This has been done by the actual coloring. So when we are in the make rift biome, this has been done in the last part where you return the actual biome. Right, and there it is, a custom biome. I would say easy to use, hard to master, especially if you want it like very particular in a very particular way. You're going to have to just play around with it quite a bit until you get it just the way that you want to. I can always, of course, also advise to go onto GitHub and take a look at how some other mods have maybe created their biomes. That is also something that you can do and equip with some Java knowledge, at least intermediate, I would say. Then you might be able to figure out some stuff from that as well. But that would be it for this tutorial right here. I hope you found this useful and you learned something new. If you did, I would of course appreciate a like, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. So yeah.